You're still watching Midday Live, and let's move to some other stories. An anti-corruption group, Citizen Movement, is raising serious concerns regarding plans by the Public Utilities Regulatory Authority to construct a new 500 boreholes at the cost of 30 million cedis. Now, the group is worried about the cost of the borehole, which has been pegged around 60,000 cedis. And this afternoon, I have been joined in the studio by the Executive Director of Citizen Ghana Movement, Gov't. Good afternoon, George.
Good afternoon,
and thanks
Wendy.
for your time here.
Thank you, sir.
What really is your concern about the boreholes? Is it just the cost?
No, it's not just the cost. Our concerns stem from two major things. First is the mandate of the PURC as regards this construction of boreholes. We have looked in the law that they operate under, and we can't find anything that gives them the power to venture into the construction of boreholes. So that's the first thing. The second concern is the cost. We don't know what type of boreholes they are talking of. If it is the simple mechanized ones that we know, then 60,000 sounds a bit over the top. You know, we don't know what components are being used, you know, and that is why we're asking these simple questions that we're asking, because on face value, something seems to be wrong. And, and that is why we are asking for further, you know, information to be given to us so that based on that, we can draw some meaningful conclusions.
Okay. I also do have in the studio this afternoon Slee Hayford. He is the leading member of Occupied Ghana. Good afternoon.
Hi.
All right, and we'll be talking to both of them shortly on another different matter, but let's go back to Gov't. Now, the PURC has, in one way or the other, tried to justify what kind of borehole they are going to construct, saying that it is a mechanized borehole, which is beyond normal.
Okay, so if it's a mechanized borehole that is beyond normal, then what kind of mechanized borehole is it? If it's the everyday mechanized borehole that we know with the electronic pump and all of that, then the cost should still not hit 60,000 cedis for one, you know. So if it has certain special components that the everyday mechanized boreholes do not have, you know, the PURC should just let Ghanaians know, because based on that and based on the breakdown of the cost, we'll be able to tell if something has gone wrong. If nothing has gone wrong, hooray. But you see, if nothing has even gone wrong, there are other questions. Does the PURC have the mandate, the statutory backing to engage in the construction of boreholes? That's one issue. Where in this country, when GNPC some years back decided to venture into rice cultivation, and we saw the issues that came from that. So we don't want public bodies venturing into places that they are not authorized by law to venture into. Also, where's the funding for this project coming from?
You've written to the PURC.
Yes, we have.
Have you given them timelines?
We have given them 10 working days to get back to us. We believe that 10 working days is more than enough time, because these documents that we are asking for and the information we're asking for, if they followed the right process, it's information they already have. So the 10 working days, in my view, is even too much time. They can get back to us Monday morning, because they have the information we're asking for, you know. And one key thing too is, why was this contract sole sourced?
All right, but what next after the 10 days? Yes,
so if within this 10-day period, we don't hear from them, you would remember that we did something similar with the Smarties bus branding. We wrote to the Ministry of Transport, and we expected them to, as a public, you know, body, get back to us, because it is our money they used to brand those buses. They didn't get back to us, and we had to sue them. And the court compelled them to give the information we're asking for to us. So ultimately, if they do not give us the information we're asking for, we already have Article 21(1)(f) that works for us. And we also have the ruling of the High Court.
Now, let's move to the second reason why I have these two gentlemen here with me. And pressure group Occupy Ghana is to deploy full legal arsenal to compel government of Ghana to make full disclosure on yet another 35 million cedi contract signed with embattled businessman Woyome last year. The group, in a statement issued Thursday night, claimed it had uncovered what it described as a sweetheart deal between the government and Anato Holding Company Limited, owned by Mr. Woyome, who is mad in legal tussle with government over the 51.2 million Ghana cedi wrongly paid him as judgment debt. In the agreement, Anato Holding pair, the contract is to develop deep sea ports, including industrial parks and green townships in Ghana. The agreement is signed by Woyome as executive chairman of Anato Holding Company Limited. And we have in the studio, I've mentioned earlier, one of the members of Occupy Ghana, and he is a leading member. Sydney.
Yes.
What's wrong with the government giving contracts to citizens?
Nothing. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the contract. The contract is a legal contract. He has established 2 contracts, one with the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority and the other one with the Ministry of Transport. There's nothing wrong with the contracts. These are memorandums of understanding based on the framework of what they propose to do. So that's not the problem. You see, I just wanted to comment quickly on the borehole thing before we get into this one deeply. What George doesn't understand, these boreholes are different types of boreholes. Okay? These are specialized, religiously concocted boreholes which will turn water into wine.
Good.
Okay? So they will cost far more than the average. And if we are not careful, and as the boreholes are not developed properly, there might be cost overruns, which will mean that
but he's written to they've written to the PRC, so definitely.
Well, I'm reassuring him. I'm reassuring him that when he comes.
Do you see the problem? Because that's how we also feel. That is this borehole going to drill oil from the ground?
But that issue has
water into wine.
We've dealt with that issue.
We think
already.
It might be drilling crude oil.
We've dealt with that issue already. No,
it's definitely wine. It's definitely wine.
Let's go back to the bit about Alfred Woyome. He already has an issue in court.
Yes.
Is that your concern, that because that hasn't been dealt with?
I don't know what rational person in this world will have an issue with anybody who owes them 51.2 million cedis and then will go ahead and negotiate a second contract for 35 million cedis when the person is giving you the runaround and not collecting, and you can't collect the money. This has been going on for 4 or 5 years. Just recently on Thursday, he was supposed to be grilled as detained by the Supreme Court. He managed to file a motion at the last minute, which enabled him to delay the purpose of the disclosure a lot more. He clearly is not ready to do this. The second thing also is this. Anato Holding is a company owned exclusively by Woyome. Anato Holding is also involved exclusively in claiming that some of the properties which Woyome listed as his own properties, which could be used to defray the 51.2 million, belong to Anato Holding. And therefore, they are in court challenging Woyome's authority to be able to use those to securitize and to collateralize the facility which he has. You see, this is the immorality of what we're dealing with. And it is also based purely on a question of a lack of diligence by the Attorney General and the team. The man owes you money. He has brought forward a set of assets. He himself owns those assets, and his company is also claiming that he doesn't have a right to those assets because they own the assets. And you could not do enough due diligence to be able to identify specifically who is behind Anato Holding and to say, Mr. Woyome, you can't do this.
Okay, now let me hold you there, Stephen, and go to George.
Sydney.
Sydney, thank you. Now, you also are an anti-corruption campaigner, and you have concerns about some of these matters.
Yes.
Are we going to see an end in sight anytime soon? Looking, the issues keep coming up over and over again.
We were very happy when Occupy Ghana broke this story, because look, and when this story hit us, the first question I asked myself personally was, how does the government prosecute somebody, right, for defrauding it by false pretenses? That is why the government dragged Woyome to the criminal court. So in the government's mind, in the Attorney General's mind, it had a good case, good enough case to prosecute this same gentleman for defrauding the state by false pretenses. This was how many years back? This was some two years back, right? Or earlier this year, wasn't it? Yes. And 2015, you had given this man another contract. Doesn't government have some sort of blacklist that it puts some of these people on? You know, so that if you feel that the man has done something fishy in the past in dealing with government, you immediately blacklist him. You blacklist all his companies. There's nothing that compels government to deal with any particular person when it comes to business. So what is it that is special when it comes to this gentleman? That he seems to be getting all the good stuff. He seems to be getting all the good stuff. And some of it, some of those good stuff, he seems to be getting it using very, very funny means. You know, so for us as a pressure group, we are very happy with what Occupy Ghana is doing. We're hoping that this is seen through to its end, and we actually hope that more civil society groups would take up more issues. Recently, we heard that there was this other issue with some $300 million contract that had been given to some security company in the UK or something. Some of these things sound very, very funny, you know. So if government in an election year with 2 weeks to elections is still carrying on businesses, signing things and all of that, then all of us who are interested in anti-corruption should not go to bed either. Okay. If government is in the business of governance, we should be in the business of seeking good governance. That's basically it.
All right, Jordan, let me go straight to the phone lines and also speak with my colleague, Asiedu-Dartey. We're told that Alfred Woyome, that's the businessman we're talking about, is currently addressing the media on allegations regarding a new contract is said to be having awarded by government. And my colleague, Asiedu-Dartey, is there now. He joins me via phone. Hello, Asiedu.
Hi, Wendy. So the
Has the press conference started already?
Started about some 40 minutes ago, and the businessman Alfred Woyome, the man who's been embroiled in the center of this controversial payment of some 51.2 million Ghana cedis, has essentially been given a historical background to the events leading up to the payment of that money. He still maintains that he's not guilty. He thinks justice has not been served him. And so he's just essentially been recapping the events, you know, that led to the payment of that money. He's, however, yet to respond to latest allegations coming in from Occupy Ghana about a new contract that is supposed to have been offered him sometime in 2015. So we'll try and elicit those responses from him, and I can assure viewers that before close of day, we'll get responses to these and other matters coming out from the press conference.
Thank you very much indeed, Asiedu-Dartey, for that update. And back in studio, I'm going to start with you shortly before we're going to wrap up now. But Sydney, going forward, the bit about due diligence has come up. We've also heard my colleague Asiedu-Dartey touch on the businessman playing the victim card over and over again. Moving forward as a country, what do we do? Because these matters keep coming up over and over again.
Would you like me to come back again sometime? Because you're opening up a whole can of worms here.
But briefly,
okay.
I'm sure.
Look,
you have some points to make briefly.
It is important. Well, first of all, you need people with integrity to run the government. That's number one, all right? Then number two, you need to implement the law. 3, you need to jail some people, all right? Those who are guilty must be jailed. And then lastly, you want to try and have a continuous program of improving your anti-corruption crusade. This is not something you can leave to civil service organizations and expect them to fix it. Government itself must fix the problem. You see, and this is where we're having this whole dichotomy. There's a lot of talk about anti-corruption and the best performing government as far as corruption is concerned. That's the rhetoric. On the ground, we're hearing and seeing something different. And that's it. Then it's parallel to what you're hearing now. There's a whole hue and cry about violence, and that we are perpetuating violence in the system. And yet, the very two parties who are supposed to be contesting are the ones who are calling for peace, and it is their followers who are perpetuating violence. So what kind of common sense are we dealing with here? Where is the logic in everything that we're doing. And we, the people of Ghana, are just simply supposed to just accept this as gospel truth and then move on.
Okay.
It's not going to work.
Thank you so much. I'm sure we'll have you back again. And George, I'm sure you're also in tune with what Stephen has said. Thank you so much.
What Sydney said, yes.
Thank you so much for your time. I have been speaking with George Anti, Executive Director, Citizens Ghana Movement, and also Sydney Hayford, leading member, Occupy Ghana. This is Media Live.